Yo, yo, yo. What up? Welcome. It's Tuesday night, which is the new night, and it's the 30th of May. What's goody, folks? Welcome to, I don't know, we're going to call it FPL. Now, if you're here this early on this inaugural episode, I will give you the secret behind the name, and then we're never going to talk about it again. The secret behind the name, FPL. What does that mean? What is the FPL, right? Well, FPL means nothing. It actually doesn't stand for shit. I just didn't have a better name. And Ron Jobbert was making my art. And I needed a thing real quick. And that was that. So that's where we're at. It is 12. It is midnight for the Europeans. There is that. But I'm glad that you guys are hanging out and joining me. So that's pretty dope. Face It Pro League. I don't know about that one. So, yeah. Face It Pro League has the same initials. I hope they don't yell at me. If they do, I guess I'll change it. I don't really have a fucking name anyway, so I don't really care if they get that mad. But in any event, if you guys are like new to this idea, basically this is my thing. I kind of do talk radio. There just happens to be a camera. What's up, guys? But in general, it's just we're going to go over basically the SPL. I think we'll grow into other esports as the show grows and, you know, I sort of get a handle on things. But every Tuesday night at 6 p.m. Eastern time, we're going to be talking SPL. So we got that. FDT is actually Stone Age Markets. That's probably a better idea. FDT is like but like I wanted to tie it into Smite, but not be lame. You know what I'm saying? Because FDT is like my screen name. That's what I go on. I go FDT. So the F Swag Playa League. Yeah, we're chilling on the beach, Jones Beach. So we'll figure things out. But essentially, every Tuesday at 6 p.m. Eastern, you're gonna be able to hang out and talk. Basically, the SPL. Essentially, I kind of go over the games that happened during the week. Anything that I think in particular, like I want to bring up or talk about specifically, and then of course from there, we'll do like Q&A shit. You ask a Q, I give an A. Pretty standard, pretty fun stuff. This week was week number 1 of the summer split, so because of that, it'll probably be like we won't have the longest show on the planet. So. Why hat in a closed room with no light? People ask me that. Like, people. This is very strange. Are you American? No, bro. I ask you this specifically because I, as an American, I mean, as children, we were told to take off our hat at school, and that was like a manners thing. You don't wear a hat inside. But my generation, like we as far as the like, that is not considered rude to wear a hat inside, and like my hat is, I don't know. I don't wear hats specifically to block out the sun. Serbia, there it is. Yeah, in America, like it's not really viewed as like a hat is a piece of fashion as much as it is a tool. You know, so I'm not sitting here like, oh, I gotta block out the sun, but like my hair is a mess, so I put on a hat. It's just another option. So we got that one. So week number 1 of the SPL went down. And basically, it was not a lot to really talk about, in all honesty. We got to see some of the rosters come through that, were updated, and we'll talk a little bit about that. Enix and Eager specifically, I want to bring up. But, I mean, we saw, what is it, like, there's a largely Eastern European team, Burrito. And that's kind of neat. It's kind of fun to see that sort of thing go down. We have the Poppies, of course, that are all from Spain, and Burrito are not all from, but majority. So Johnny is from Serbia, or Dazoni, but in in that area, DZ makes a just sound. So it's Johnny, the jungler for Burrito, is from Serbia, if I'm not mistaken. And Gaspanify and Fusify, the dual lane, the Hunter and the Guardian, are also from Eastern Europe. So these guys are representing a part of the world that hasn't really been represented in Smite before. I think it's really sweet. I'm like excited that, you know, we're getting more people from different parts of the world, honestly, doing things. I think that's really cool, especially when it comes down to it. There's a lot of Russian and Eastern Europe and just sort of presence in Smite itself and like the community. So I think it's neat to have like a team doing that as well. The Poppies showed up. The Poppies are here in the Smite Pro League. They're an all-Spanish team. Cliz Gaming is your favorite team, says Cliz. They're an all-Spanish team, which is really sweet. Similar to Les Mimodons. Many moons ago, we had an all-French team, which actually wound up turning into basically Elevate, sort of, kind of, not really. But Jermaine and Dardet, right? Like, so they had Tins and Lamogao, but they have simply changed and decided to chase success, which I think is a good thing. So I'm very excited about that one. Lots of Russian PS4 streams, yeah. Yeah, it's just, and even, you know, even PC, if you ever scroll down, you know, on Twitch, which you should. Shout outs to small streamers. Shit, I was one and someday still am one. There's a lot of, you know, Russian speaking streamers that have, you know, a bunch of viewers. So it's cool to see that element really represented in the Pro League. So I think that's pretty sweet. Sio mid for Mirrodance. Oh man. That was so upsetting. That was so upsetting. Sio was an old time player who I loved. He was really good at like outsmart. Oh man, he was, put it this way, he was one of the best Isises ever. Because he's able to just like freeform his combos and do shit. Really cool. I really liked him. Why do SPL players get paid the same amount as a teacher working in a poor Asian country? Well, one, I'm not too certain about how much those people make, the teachers, that is. But SPL, I mean, you know, it's I'm not the one that makes the numbers, but life's a business, man. And the world runs around like that. Fix Thunder and make DT only work on first minion hit, no cleave multi-hits. No. One, I don't fucking do that. And two, I wish there was a more elegant way to fix Death Toll, but we'll see. Patch notes are tomorrow, right? I'm sure that there's going to be an address. I'm sure they're going to address something like that, right? But so let's talk SPL, shall we? We were talking about the Poppies coming in. Warchi, Draco Marino, Oh Boom, Dalo, and Creed. Creed is a solo laner. Dalo is the jungle. Oh Boom mid, and the dual lane is Warchi and Draco Marino. Basically, so we got to see these guys once this week, and then we got to see, or twice this week rather, and then we got to see these guys also play in relegation, and they are here. Look, okay, all right. So the Poppies fans don't like me. They just don't like me, and basically what happened was, I had tweeted a long time ago, like about a year ago, when they were relegating in the summer split or the fall split or some shit. And I was just like, the Poppies are professional relegation losers, right? Because the Poppies are one of these teams that are fantastic and they do very well in the Challenger Cup and the world underneath the Smite Pro League. And then they're able to get to relegations and then they lose. Right? That's what we've seen pretty much the entire time. Now, this time around, the Poppies have actually changed. And so have the circumstances. So the Poppies have had a roster change, most notably, bringing 2 different players in from when they were beforehand. And obviously, they've been together for a long, long time now. So they're going to be a little bit more cohesive. Obviously. Who would have thought? Practice makes perfect, huh? But essentially, they came in and they had some of the least competitive relegations ever. I mean, Sanguine was not even a fucking, like, Sanguine was not even a team. They were kind of miserable. There was just, and, you know, I'm not trying to say the Poppies are bad, because they're actually not, and I'm going to get into that in a second time. But the Poppies come in after many changes and a long time of stuff, and, like I said, the least competitive relegation I've ever seen. I mean, there just wasn't a hope for those teams that didn't make it through relegation. And, you know, it just, oh well. I mean, Shadow Nightmare was like, just, Shadow Nightmare's team was not there. It was just rough. And so the Poppies get in. And so far, they've done okay. They lost twice against Enix on Thursday. And it didn't look terrible. And then they split with Elevate, which is kind of what I expect. I think that there's going to be like a very similar story between the Poppies and the Elevate. Shouts to Thousand Island Dressing. 4 months keeping the stream alive. I think that I'm going to try and do that differently. I think we're learning on the fly here, folks. So I think that Poppies are going to wind up being a 6, 7, 8 team, or maybe a 6, 7, 8 team. Small chance that they wind up being 6th. I have so many questions about Burrito. I mean, they played against Dignitas, which, sorry, dog. Like, you played against Dig. That's one of the best teams. You're not really going to be able to get an idea of how long that's going to work out, or of how well that's going to work out, because Dignitas are so damn good. So, you know, I actually have medium hopes for this team, but they are some of the newest of the new when it comes to this sort of competition. So I think that we're going to see more of a very slow grow, if any. But I think we can see it grow. I like their play style. The Poppies, however, I think are going to be a strong 6 or 7, right? 6, 7, or 8. In those bottom 3, I think you've got 3 different teams that could all just dance around depending on how fortune, favor, and practice work out for them, and really how they work out. So I think that these teams, I think that the Poppies are good enough to make it to the SPL. The barrier of entry was very low, but even had it been higher like it has been in the past, I think the Poppies could have made it into the SPL given the standard barrier of entry. Understanding that this season, or this split's relegations were really easy, I think that even if they were just as hard as they normally are, that the Poppies get through the SPL. That's what I'm trying to say. With that in mind, I don't know what their ceiling is. Part of me kind of questions if they've already reached their ceiling. I mean, I've watched tons of them in the Challenger Cup, right? And they've played together for so long. And they have gone through some roster changes, which these are very positive roster changes. But when it comes down to it, you know, you've been doing it for so long and you just now get into the SPL. Now, maybe this was just, you know, the stars align and this is where they get the necessary practice against equal energy or equal skilled opponents. And that's what enables them to go to the next level. Maybe that's the case, right? There's something to be said about being stuck at the lower level. The Poppies have done a lot of their work in the Challenger Cup before the Combine Challenger Circuit split, where they just played in open brackets all weekend. And it's a much different experience and a much harder to learn from experience than playing in an organized league. But when it comes down to it, I think that they've already put in time and effort and labor, and they've already done a lot of the work that, all right, man, you worked super hard and you just passed relegations. That's step one. And it seems like they're already beyond that in their you know, their anime journey. But we'll see. We'll see. I'm down to watch, but I think that the Poppies, Elevate, and Burrito are 3 very different teams that will be dancing around those 6, 7, 8 spots. I think the Poppies are a team that have really done the, they've done the montage. Like I said, they have traveled the majority of their journey, and that journey got them to the SPL. I think that Elevate, unfortunately, losing Fails brings them down a step, and they have to sort of trudge back into it. And then Burrito, I think. Burrito is the team, honestly, that I have the most excitement for. Perhaps over Elevate. Simply because they're a question mark. We know that Elevate are knocked down a peg, and when they're brought back up to the original spot, we know what they look like. I know what to look for out of Nulissa, which is great. I know what to look for out of the duo lane, which is great. But we saw them work with Fails. We saw them going up. But they weren't dancing with Enix anytime soon. They weren't dancing with maybe Energy, but they weren't dancing with Obey anytime soon. I'm drinking some Coca-Cola. Shouts to Atlanta. So I think that Burrito is a team that is a big question mark. These guys came in and they did well during the Challenger Series, obviously, to get them there. But these guys have not been together for a ton of time, right? Like, was it Kispanify? Did I spell that right? I did not spell that right. Basically, I'm trying to figure out when, this team started to get together. Optimus Gang has been together for about a year, it looks like. Created January 2017, so not at all. Look at that. They basically got this roster together in January. So they've been together for about 6 months. So that's the team that in the 6 months time that they've worked and put together everything, that they're able to go ahead and who knows what their ceiling is. If they've made it to the SPL in 6 months of practice, and I know that these players beforehand have careers, my point is 6 months as a team. If they're able to make the SPL in 6 months of practice, right? And it took the Poppies years to do that. And I acknowledge that the Poppies are a much different team now than they were before. Individual skill and roster trade-offs happen and increase the team as a whole. But we've seen that hard work pay off, and I worry for the Poppies if they've reached their ceiling. Whereas Burrito, we got to see them lose to Dignitas this week. We didn't actually get to see Burrito play. Show me Burrito against Elevate Poppies or themselves. show me Burrito against Elevate or Poppies, and I'll be able to really take a look. But I think Dignitas was a little bit unfair. So I out of those three, the two new teams plus Elevate, because they kind of got screwed with Fails leaving, I have the most faith in Burrito. I'm really excited to see them work out. I think the Poppies are going to be a 6, 7, 8 team, most likely 7 or 8. Elevate played Dig. Dig smacked them on Thursday. Enix played the Poppies, and Poppies got smacked. I want to talk about Rival and Energy, though. Rival and Energy on Friday. Everyone's sitting there asking, is Rival the real deal? Are they going to be able to actually make it happen? Was it a one-time deal, fluke, etc.? More importantly, are they an online team or strictly a LAN team? It's easy. Well, it's not easy, but teams have done this in the past where you are just better in one arena than the other. Notoriously, it's teams that are better online than LAN because of nerves or whatnot, but it goes the other way around. And so looking at, where we're able to see Rival come into, I was curious as to how it was going to work out. Shouts to Divios for the hot host. And I was kind of sitting there going, Rival plays really good on LAN, but they're able to Deathwalker is just kind of Deathwalker, right? And he's funny. And then the rest of the unit feeds off of that. And all right, well, SK Gaming back in the day, as fucking Zane brings up, is they were fantastic at LAN. They would finish the season, 4, and then at LAN they'd be tougher to play than they were during the online season. And I was worried that Rival would be that type of team. I was worried. And I fully acknowledge that Energy are not exactly up to speed. Meaning they're not going as fast as they want to, or they usually do. And this is all me talking. I haven't asked the guys about this. And before I say this, let me preface it with I don't care, and I think that's fine. Energy takes the off-season as an off-season. They walk away. They don't practice super hard, if at all. I don't know. And then to see them come back into the spring split, thank you, good doctor, a little bit sluggish, especially in comparison to a team like Obey, who never lets go of the gas. I don't mind. Don't burn yourself out of the game. That's fine. So this idea that they've fallen off, I think, is completely incorrect. I don't think they've fallen off whatsoever. I think they took some time off and they're rusty, and that's okay. I'm okay with that. Fuago says because he doesn't know if Energy will ever catch back up to Obey, and I think that's a valid concern. I like that, but I like that you phrase it catch back up. It's not that Obey have reached a level that Energy is incapable of reaching. It's, will Energy have enough ramp up time to reach that spot before, I don't know, I guess Worlds is that spot, right? So, for me, it's so much less about, their capability. I see a lot of people out there questioning Energy's capability, and that is not a valid point, I don't think. I don't think I love Radford, that's my boy. I've casted with him. He's saved my ass when he was casting. So I literally didn't have anybody to cast back when I ran the Challenger Cup years ago. But he's not a caster. I don't think he would want to be. And I don't think Radford's done with playing. Maybe he is and I just don't know it, but nothing he does, says, or thinks about would make me think that he's done with playing at all. He's one of the most vocal pros right now about how he doesn't like certain things, most notably Sunder and some of the other things in the game. It's more worrying when your girlfriend just stops calling you. Not when she's angry. If you're passionate, if you're mad, if you're angry about something, it means you still care. It's when the attitude gets, everything's broken, but fuck it. That's when that's when you sort of think about that. That issue that the pros don't take the online stages seriously. It's not about the online stage to me. It's about the beginning of the year. And it's not about taking it seriously. It's just about, like I said, the ramp-up time. I think that Energy has earned an off-season. And I think they should go enjoy the spoils of their war. Most Smite players, like streamers and shit, play Smite 6+ hours a day. And then you get into this. Then you get into a conversation about adding competitive. You're playing ranked and online gaming. And this isn't a shot at high-res matchmaking, obviously. I fucking work there. This is a comment about online gaming in general. Games that matter with people that don't will always be difficult to handle. That's just always the situation. Matchmaking could be the most perfect thing in the world. And you could have 5 evenly skilled people versus 5 evenly skilled people. Which is a pipe dream, by the way. Not because things are shitty, but because math is hard. And somebody's going to have a bad game, and somebody's going to spout off, and it's still going to be a rough experience because I'm trying hard to win this game. It means something to me, but the 4 people I see this time, I'll never see again. Or I'll see only on, it's just tough to play games that matter with people that don't. And so that's mentally exhausting. And then you go into scrims, and that's mentally exhausting for a different reason. I would much rather the pros take a chill pill during the offseason and make the spring split a little bit less competitive as far as like how good everybody is than have everybody play 90 hours a week and then quit after a year and a half. So, enjoy your snowmobile, Yaman. Enjoy it. I got no problem with that. So, when Rival came and kind of beat him up, at LAN, that was sort of an accelerating factor for Energy, I think. Those guys don't like to lose. I think they have big picture in mind when they take vacations during the off season. And that, makes them on a different level than other teams. But they're still just players. They're still pro Smite players. And Raffer is one of the hungriest dudes. And, I'm making things up, but maybe they just forgot because they've been winning all the time. But then Rival and Obey show up and they go, oh shit. And it seems like it's lit a fire under their ass, and I'm enjoying it. I think it's fun. And so I want to see more of that. I think that Energy are going to be just as good as they always have been. I don't think that there is any skill fall off whatsoever from any of those 5 players. I think all 5 players on Energy are still 5 of the best players in the entire world. And I think that Energy could three-peat. It won't be as easy this time because there's a lot more talent. I think that Obey is scary. But I also think that Energy are still just as good. Enix. This week they beat up the Poppies on Sunday, and then they split with Obey, which is nutty. I mean, Obey is kind of the de facto best team, right? They're the team most people will say is the best team right now. Obey Alliance. And so for Enix to split with Obey, well, go G. Last year they had Zelia and Cherio in solo and jungle. And this year they have Ducky and Fails. I think that this is a very good change. Zelia can be problematic. It's tough. When things don't go his way, you can see it in game. He kind of like does his own thing. And those players can hurt the overall, look of a team. Not the look from the outside, who cares? But I mean the look from the inside in the sense that like some options just get shut down. It's hard to play with people that get tilted like that. And so I think the move away from Zelia to Ducky is a very good change. Ducky is a up-and-coming player. I have been very excited about Ducky. He understands the game in a very different way. He understands the game zoomed out. He sees both European and North American metas. He kind of gets both. And when you talk to him about something that's powerful, let's go Cabrakan. When we talked to him about Cabrakan last season, or rather in the spring split, right? So I talked to him about Cabrakan. First pick, first ban in North America. Not even thought about much outside of a couple of players in Europe. So I asked him, I go, yo, Ducky, Like, what's up, man? Why don't you guys pick Cabrakan? And he proceeded to like just completely break it down. North America likes Cabrakan because their level 1's very important. Mark of the Vanguard allows him and his tremors to be really dope. Europe values him less because it's less about the level 1, more about the blah 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 blah. And just goes really instead of just understanding his game, a lot of players will just say, I mean, I don't know what the fuck NA's doing, but like, go Ymir. Or I don't know what the fuck Europe thinks, but they need to pick Susano or some shit like that, right? And for Ducky, he just understands both and why both are separate, and having that type of understanding on such a macro level helps on a micro level when you're able to just fight in the solo lane and really just understand all the intricacies that go on there. And it works out flawlessly for him. I mean, he's killing it. I think Ducky over Zelia. I like Zelia. I'm friends with Zelia. But I think that Zelia is over the hill. Not age-wise. I don't give a shit about age. But I mean, I think his time in the sun as a Smite Pro is over. I think that he has peaked. And I think that Ducky is on the way up. Now, maybe Zelia proves me wrong, and that'd be dope. But I just think that Zelia won't ever be as good as he has been in the past. For whatever reason. And Ducky is trending up. So, I'm very excited about that change. Fails to Cherio. Cherio, one of my favorite players in the league. No secret that I want that guy. Like, I'm playing on almost every team. I love this dude. The change to Fails is a side grade because I'm biased. But most people will say it's a very big upgrade. Fails proved himself on Elevate. Fails proved himself on Elevate. Elevate was like, you know, when you work at the office building. Elevate is like when you work on Super Mario Land before they let you work on Super Mario World, right? It's like his internship. Okay, here I am at, you know, RC Cola. I'm making soda for RC Cola, and then after I leave that job, I go work for Coke or Pepsi, you know? So he did his time on Elevate, which, if Fails stays on Elevate, who knows how far Elevate can go on. I think that team needs to learn, and I wish that, part of me wishes that Fails stayed on Elevate, because I think that team could climb. Are they beating Obey next week? No. But I think they could climb with time, and I'd be interested to see that timeline. But also, I really like Fails as an individual and an individual player. So watching him go ahead and join that team, join a much better team, flat out, Enix, watching him go to the fucking big leagues is really exciting for people that have been watching Smite for a while. Should be excited about this. Fails is the guy that did it, man. Fails started, you know, in the Challenger Cup, and everybody made it to the Pro League, and he didn't. And he was still messing around in the Challenger Cup and on lower level teams. And then finally he gets a shot, and he crushes it. And then he gets another shot, and he crushes it. And then he's on Elevate, and he crushes it. And now he's on Enix. And guess what? He's crushing it. And, you know, he did it. Everybody that's watched Smite should, like, be excited about that. So I think that it's kind of neat to see Fail succeed. Like I said, side note, I think it would have been fun to watch that Elevate team progress. They're mechanically skilled, and you get to watch them learn how to play competitive Smite right in front of your eyes. It's so much fun watching Jermaine learn how to change his play style but still embrace it. Nulissa, just her positioning pays off sometimes. And it's just fun to watch that team learn competitive Smite. They're consistently getting better. And if Fail stayed on that team and championed them forward, who knows? But like I said, I'm very happy for Fails, and I don't think he did the wrong thing. I think going to Enix was the right move for Fails. And so I think that's the right move for Enix. When Enix was the team with Zelia and Cherio, I thought they were a top 3 team. Now with Fails and Ducky, I think that they could contend with Obey. I mean, they split with Obey. I think that that's going to be their deal. Maester brings up a great point. He says Fails is a downgrade from Cherio. Okay. But Cherio replaced Fails on Upcoming Stars and Leftovers. Two different teams. And he's completely right. And that was Fails when he was learning. That was Fails when he was on his way up. It's the glow up, man. Fails was learning how to play, and Cherio is kind of a step ahead of him. Maybe Cherio might be the better player. But at the end of the day, watching Fails grow, Fails now is a much better player than he was 365 days ago. But yeah, fuck him for naming himself Jungler, right? But Fails is a different player than he was in the past. When Fails got replaced by Cherio, Cherio was straight up better than him. Absolutely. Not any longer. I think that Fails and Cherio are perhaps very evenly skilled players. Cherio, of course, suffers from ping issues. That's been talked about all over the place. He lives in Egypt, and he doesn't have the best of ping. So that's sort of a black mark against him. They also have different play styles. Cherio doesn't play that sort of hard carry role all of the time. More of a, if this is your hard carry and this is your facilitator, your straight up support man, he's like here, right in the middle, where he'll play Kabrakan as an assassin, but also set you up later. So, I think that it's, realistically speaking, a side grade or a slight upgrade. Other people think that it's a much bigger upgrade. But in play style, I think he fits the team better. Also, what Sean said, Cherio just isn't feeling jungle right now. Cherio wants to play support. He's not a bad support. But just doesn't want to play jungle. And that will stop it. I mean, that definitely does stop your ceiling. I mean, look at Snoopy last year. He moved over to mid, even though he was at the peak of his career at the time, playing Hunter. He moved to mid because he hated the role. You got to like what you do, man. So, oh well. I think that Enix is going to be much better with Ducky and Fails. I think that Enix can fight with Obey and Dignitas. I think those three teams are extremely strong, and Energy is going to catch up and be just as strong. The other team that had an interesting switch-up is Eager. Are they better or worse? DJ Pernicus leaves the squad, and it makes room for Sam for Soccer. Sam for Soccer is a dude that's played in some of the lower-end leagues. AVGL, Challenger Cup. He's done this and that. He's not bad. Is he DJ Pernicus? DJ, it's no secret that I really liked Eager and really liked DJ because of their playstyle, their creativity. The way they did things was very different. And I like that. Anubis was not the problem at Worlds. Guan Yu was not completely the problem. I still don't agree with the Guan Yu pick. But I don't hate it like many uninformed people do. I understand why they did it. And I don't fault them for doing it. And I might have done it at some point. But I did not like that moment. But my point is, is that DJ and his leadership and his creativity were a big part of what made Eager Eager. Now with DJ gone, is that a positive? Because Eager was kind of in a spot where they were too eager for Eager. And they were... People were saying that they were doing things that were different just to be different. I don't agree with that. But that's the thought process. I don't think that's true. But I see where the people are coming from when they say that. And with that in mind, maybe they did need to reel it back a little bit. And not settle on meta, but find some comfort roles. Because their comfort picks were not a comfort composition, if that makes sense. It was just, you know, Bastet and Terra and just like picks that work together because they're eager. But if they had a fallback composition that was a little bit more standard to them, I'm not saying that they have to lose the identity, but something standard to them, like new on mid every game, that's your fallback. I have no problem with that. But at the same time, did they need to reel it back in? And with DJ gone, they're absolutely going to reel it back in, whether they need to or not. That's just what's going to happen. And so, with that in mind, it's so much less about the individual skill. DJ's very, very good. Sam for soccer, he's a rookie. We got to see how he plays. Spoiler alert, he plays well. His Thor was not good. His Arlong Shen was good enough. His Arlong Shen was nice to watch because it was exactly what Eager kind of wanted in their composition. He did work on it. It was sweet. But I think it's what, like Seahaw's talking about FP. It's a little too early to tell about Sam for soccer, to be honest with you. What time is it? 46. Okay, sweet. So basically, I'm shooting for the show to be like an hour and a half. I think that's probably a good length. And like I said, today is going to be a little bit shorter, simply because it's the first week of everything, and there isn't much to talk about yet.